Syracuse grad, voice of the Wolfpack, Chaz. Where are you? You in the Dome? You're on your way? What are you up to right now?
Hugo, I am right across from my freshman dorm, Sadler Hall.
Oh.
So you know specifically where I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that would put you in the Dome. Unless you're in the parking. I suppose you could be in the parking lot if you've gone the other way or gotten lost in the lobby of Lawrenson. But yeah, we'll put you in the Dome for that one. All right, Chaz. Good to have you here. And man, it's weird. Obviously, neither team's having a great season or even a good season. We know that. But yet there is a lot on the line tonight. Are you getting that vibe from the Wolfpack side of things? What's the general sense of where things are at down there right now?
Yeah, I think that it's somewhat in lockstep with the spirit you're reflecting. I do think there is a good amount of pride, and they do not want to be excluded from the ACC tournament as the league has expanded, and we have this format now. They don't want to look back in time and say that a down year includes ACC tournament exclusion, and that's not part of their portfolio or possibility or resume, right? And I think it has been a down year, and they had a lot of really close losses in January. And if you look at the KenPom metrics and data, it probably would indicate they should have 3-4 more wins in league play, or should have beaten Texas. A lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda this year. And there is an intensity in the optimism because they are off their best game of the year against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
They probably played as well as they have played all year, and Paul McNeil busted out. And I don't know how sustainable that type of performance is, but there's a lot of positivity with the last win they had.
Yeah, we'll get to McNeil in a bit here. He was, top 100 recruit that had been not really contributing a ton this season. That's looked pretty solid here the last couple weeks. And, we had this conversation going into Syracuse's Miami game a few weeks ago. It's like, well, obviously Miami's not good, but they're showing a little signs of life here. And then Syracuse goes down there and loses. It feels like NC State, is showing signs of life here, right, the last, 2-3 weeks or so.
Effort level's been there. I mean, if there was an attribute on this team that's the big head scratcher, it's not effort level. I mean, it's not for lack of, they're not getting blown out in these games. They've had two bad ACC losses. They had the Louisville loss, and then they played really poorly in Chapel Hill. They just got whacked in the first half against the Tar Heels. Other than that, it's been nip and tuck. I think they have 5 one-possession games. I think they have 10 two-possession games in the end, and they've lost most of those. It's been hard in close games late. But no, I'm with you on that. I mean, they are playing pretty good ball right now, and the defense has been good all year. The pace of play is really slow. That's not generally what Coach Keats does. Mm-hmm. Unique roster formation for him. Mike James has been out all year. He's tinkered a bit, and it kind of speaks to how odd the year has been. That last game, best game they played, included them putting their leading scorer as the sixth man and putting their leading scorer on the bench. Marcus Hill didn't start. So if you really think about what would require a team to put its leading scorer on the bench this deep into the year, it's probably been a bit strange.
Syracuse is no stranger to any of stuff like that over the course of the last couple of years as well. And you look at what NC State did last year, and it went from a just bleh season to a magical year in the span of like 2 weeks. And the whole country falls in love with DJ Burns, and the play style obviously revolved around what DJ Burns did last year. DJ Burns was a 101 in many, many ways. How different is this year's team versus what, say, if a casual fan saw that run to the Final Four last year and what they did around DJ?
Well, completely different. And Coach Keats, from the summer, has talked about how DJ Burns is not coming through that door. I mean, the thing Burns gave you, and DJ Horn as well, is in a close game late, when they figured it out late in the year and it all popped in this amazing 9-win run to the Final Four, they had a very specific go-to guy and a very strong sense of what they wanted to do late. And it may have been as simple as clear out and give the big guy the ball, or run a pick and roll with DJ Horn, and you've got a couple go-to options late. They don't have that guy this year. And if it's Paul McNeil Jr., who's a highly rated true freshman who didn't play a lot in the start of the year because he had various struggles as a true freshman, maybe he comes on late, right? He scored the ball really well last game and scored double figures 3 of the last 4. I mean, it's a great story, but if you were to compare last year to this year, the biggest difference is you've got 2 primary consistent go-to scorers And those don't exist this year for the team. They have a different guy every game, and sometimes it's Jaden Taylor, sometimes it's Dontrez Styles, sometimes it's Marcus Hill. It happened to be Paul McNeil Jr. last game.
We got Matt Chazanow with us, the voice of the Wolfpack. He is in the Dome getting ready for tonight's game, about 2.5 hours out, a little less than that, between the Orange and the Wolfpack tonight. And Chaz, I mean, it's been a wild year in this league when it comes to, coaching, hot seats, vacancies, all that. You look at both Florida schools are open, Virginia's going to be open. Whatever weird stuff happened yesterday with the extension to Hubert Davis leaking out of Chapel Hill, everything that we got going on up here, we read. Last year, Kevin Keatts, I mean, he couldn't have been more on the hot seat, right, heading into the ACC tournament. Rips off that tremendous run. You get extensions based off stuff like that, and he did. What's the vibe in Raleigh right now surrounding the head coach where, you see this year, it hasn't backed up what that great last run was last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you rip a Final Four run and you've been to the last two tournaments, and you've got a ton of close ball games, and you've got a sense that the guys that are here are playing their tails off. I think that while fans and generally now, in honestly in any sport nationwide, there's very little patience, there's very little forgiveness, there's very little macro context. I don't think there is a lot of nuance in opinions, right? Especially in sports, right? And I think there's a sense that NC State, some fans want to go to the Final Four every year, right? Some fans remember David Thompson and the undefeated season, and then of course you've got everything with Coach Valvano and on and on. And I think that when you look at it big picture, I think kind of easier to take a breath, but. I think fans, and Coach Keatts included, he doesn't want to be 4-12.
Right.
He doesn't want to go from the Final Four in an ACC tournament championship to not qualifying for the ACC tournament. I think that's really hard, and that's a place NC State feels like it shouldn't be. So I think that there are frustrations that are real, right? And things have been difficult. He had a hard press conference very candid press conference after the North Carolina loss, and talked about all kinds of things, talked about NIL, talked about kind of the state of the union, and you don't have that conversation if frustrations aren't high internally and externally from the program. So that's hard. I do think that, I don't want to speak to Red Autry and everything that, Syracuse is going through because I'm not embedded here, but it's only his second year, right? I mean, in 20 wins last year and all that he's done with Syracuse, and so it comes with probably some conflicting opinions, I would guess. I don't know, and I don't mean to imply anything, but I think with Coach Keatts, he's been here almost 10 years, and he's been to the last two tournaments, been to a Final Four. I think that's true, and at the same, two things can be true, I guess, is what I'm saying. They're really happy with last year's run, and that's an understatement. And also frustrated to have had a really hard year. I think it's hard to not qualify for the ACC tournament if you've been to the Final Four last year.
I mean, I'll give you the opinion from around here right now, where everyone's just angry about everything all the time, Chaz. So if you see any torches or something at the game tonight, don't be too surprised. By what's going on. I like to ask everybody this, and you may not know the answer because so much of it is so hush hush, and you don't really know what's going on. What is the state? We talk about NIL. We talk about this house settlement. What is the current state of NC State as far as being able to take advantage of all that stuff going forward?
I think on one hand, everybody feels like there's a bigger fish. And I talked to somebody who was at, I'll say, an unnamed current Big Ten school who at one point in the last 5 years was worried about their, budget and their ability to compete and their ability to attract talent and all the things. And it was eye-opening because, in theory, they're in one of the two leagues that you'd think would have very few constraints or worries in that regard because they're in an advantaged position, at least ostensibly so. And I think NC State, on one hand, is looking around going, gosh, there are schools with more resources. There are schools that feel like they have unlimited resources, and I don't know that that's NC State. But I think at the same time, it's a place that's really confident in its position to win and resource and succeed. And I think that everyone's kind of dancing this dance where if you're in the current power 4, Power 5, for hoop, Power 6, call it what you want to call it, wherever the the amount of your league's media deal lands and how much NIL you have. I think everybody on one hand feels like they're resourced sufficiently to compete and win, and on the other hand, they're like, boy, there's a big giant around the corner, and it's somebody else. And so I don't think, I guess my point is, to answer your question, NC State feels confident and expects to compete at the highest level, and in many regards does, but also is looking around like, my goodness, some of these schools seem so flush with like unlimited riches, and it's I don't know, call it what you want to call it, a caution for the future or a state of things to come or whatever. I don't even think anybody knows.
Yeah, and when you're at NC State, two of those schools are literally in the backyard. When you look at Duke and Carolina in their in their own ways. What completely off topic here? Well, only semi off topic here. What's it like now living in Bill Belichick's backyard? What's that whole scene been like down in the Research Triangle?
He was right next to us at our basketball game. The media seating for the radio position in Chapel Hill is elevated, and he and his girlfriend were, 15 feet from us to our right. I mean, I don't know. He's there. He was watching basketball. I can tell you that. I know that Pack fans are excited to beat him, or try to. I'm not trying to make bulletin board, but you don't need to tweet that clip, please. Here you go. We can skip that one. I probably should retract that. But
he's going to be in the Dome this year, Chaz, on Halloween Friday night. So that's going to be something.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, he's. I can confirm his residence. Otherwise, that is not a curtain I'm behind. But he was there in a powder blue sweatshirt, and he was attending a basketball game. So how about that?
All right. You had the visual. That's visual contact. Always
Correct.
important in trying to figure these things out. All right. Matt Chazanow here, voice of the Wolfpack. Tonight's game, what do we got here? One name I want to ask you about, Brandon Hatfield. Like, he was at Louisville last year. He was really good, like at least in the games against Syracuse. I'm like, this guy. And then he goes into the portal. Syracuse needed a center last year. Like, oh, maybe this is a game to watch. And NC State swoops in and gets him. And this year, you look at the net stats, and it's like, what's going on? So what is going on with Huntley Hatfield? Because I realized they didn't win any games last year, but at Louisville last year, I'm like, wow, this guy's got a chance to be really good.
Yeah, I think that it hasn't quite worked out for a few different reasons. One of them in particular is he hurt his shoulder against Notre Dame, and he missed a bunch of ball games. He actually didn't come out with a team on the West Coast, and he's been banged up. Anytime you get something like that, it's a setback, and he's been uncomfortable a few times in warm-ups physically and just hasn't been able to go. And so once you get into that, it kind of spins you off track for your momentum in the year. Just that's one thing. I think on the other hand, he's a known commodity now in the league. Like, there's no doubt, there's no lack of scouting on him. Anytime you get that kind of familiarity, and he's primary on the scout, I think teams are really good, and coaching's really good, and they know what to look for, right? And I think there's an element of that. And some of the rebounding hasn't been there, for one reason or another. And the point production, if you look at it throughout his career, it's kind of capped out for like Louisville around 12 a game, and he's never been like a 30-point per game guy, but. At times, if you look at the game log, right, that has been there, and when he's been at his best, he's gotten to the free throw line. But minutes kind of started to dip when he got banged up, and he's got let's also not forget, he's got a good one starting ahead of him. Ben Middlebrooks is top 3, he's 5th right now in block shots per game in the ACC. He was number 1 for a while. He was the league leading shot blocker. He had 10.7 boards last game, 2 blocks, did ban against Wake Forest. Probably his best game in the last 3 weeks. So when he's going right, that will also lead to a minutes decrease, because they are stone cold 5. They tried it with them on the court together at one point this year. It didn't go great. They are both 5 men, and they share that spot. So when one's going, the other one's not playing a ton.
Okay, so there we are. Something to watch out for tonight. Last thing, Chaz, what do you think decides this game tonight? What are you looking for as a deciding element in this game of two teams that really need it tonight?
Well, I've been kind of curious. Again, I'm standing here in the Dome, but I know what Sadler Hall is, but I don't pretend to know everything Red Autry's going through. There have been a lot of threes given up to the other teams. Other teams have shot well against Syracuse. That has been the struggle for NC State this year. If there's one thing that has been the rub, it is that the Wolfpack haven't shot it well, and they have struggled to score. The defense has been there. They're 8th in the country in fewest turnovers a game. They've done an amazing job valuing the ball. It's kept them in games when they have had the gears rusted, the wheels rusted shut on the offense. It's been grinding to 60. And last game and the last few weeks, they have shot it better, and they've changed some of their minutes allocation, and they got 85 points against Wake Forest. If NC State scores 85 points, they're going to beat anybody. The defense has been really good, but that's been highly irregular. This has been a team that's been stuck right around 67, 68 points a game. In fact, when they get to 70 or more, they're 9-3, and they should have won 2 of those 3 losses. Like, they should be 11-1 in games where they score 70 points. So I think that I'm really curious, be it Paul McNeil or Jason Taylor or Michael O'Connell's had his moments. Does NC State shoot it well on the road? I mean, the Pack has not won a road game this year. They're 0 on the road, and 3 of the final 4 games are on the road. The last home game is next week, and then they go back on the road to Miami. They go to Georgia Tech this Saturday. So if you're going to get to the ACC tournament, you're probably going to win a road game. And is the Syracuse defense going to shut down NC State shooting and scoring, and I think if it doesn't, it's a good night for NC State.
Yeah, and obviously tonight would have the most direct implication on potential tiebreaks and all that going on down the line. Right. That we'll figure out by a week from Saturday night. All right, Chaz, always good to chat. If you could, as an alum, head to the backcourt and donate to QCNIL. That would really help. That would really help us out here. Yeah.
That's a good try.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for rattling that paper cup. I appreciate that.
There we go.
Yeah.
I as I'm required to do. All right, Chaz. Have a good call tonight. Good to talk, buddy. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy. All right, there you go. Thanks, man.
There he is. Our guy met Chazanow, voice of the NC State Wolfpack. Hey, man, we got to, I got the old, where'd my mouse go? Got the old, gotta shake that basket out there. Get that NIL flowing in, or else things are going to fall apart. All right, we'll take a break. Phone line's open here for the next